We are live with Jeff. Jeff,
You're
welcome.
live with Luke.
No, it's great to be on here with you, brother. We were with each other
Likewise.
in Austin, Texas, a few months ago, and we started working with each other, or we worked with each other first. It was almost a year and a half ago now. I think I was thinking
Yeah.
about it. The first time you jumped into one of my courses, I was actually in Croatia. And I remember sitting in a hotel lobby chatting to you, talking about all of the stuff you're working on, the investments, the crypto. And I remember there was like, when you did the course, you were like, I want to create a course. I want to do something that I can share my information with the world. I can share my knowledge with the world. And so, fast forward a few years, here you are. You've launched your course. It's gone really well. And I think what I would love to just ask you for questions on is how did that come about? What was the process like for you? And maybe you could give us a bit of background first and foremost on who you are, what your expert knowledge is, and where does your expertise lie, Jeff?
Great. Thanks, Luke. And again, appreciate the invite. It's always cool to chat with you. But apparently, this is going on YouTube, so that's kind of a big deal. Um, I had a, I guess I would describe myself really as a serial entrepreneur, where I get into things and I'm doing things, and I love that side of it. But for part of probably 15 years, I've always been heavily into the trading side of things, where I've been buying and selling, and doing different types of whether it's futures trading or crypto or whatever's going on. And then along with that, getting very active, I was used to teach people. I was part of a firm in Chicago, and was one of their head traders, and so we'd have hundreds of guys watching us trade live and learning from us. So I got known on Twitter as an anomal trader, and anomal based in Vancouver Island here. So from that was just, I was already kind of teaching people and doing that. And then they went a different direction. It took a philosophy that me and the other head traders didn't agree with, and so we left. And they're still doing their thing, and we're doing our thing. And out of that, was this desire to be, just help people, right? And then the big crypto boom back in 2020, when it went ripping higher, I also saw a ton of people get wrecked when that changed. And so many people just didn't have some basic things in crypto that they really should have had. And it's unfortunate just because we don't know, right? And so out of that, I started a group called Trader Punks, which was an NFT series, based, where you get one Trader Punk, then you always have access to the group and the community. It's not like a monthly fee, or anything like that. And that's now going into, we celebrated a birthday in January, and it's going really well. We've got, I think, almost a couple hundred members, something like that, that are actually in the token gated Discord. And out of all of that, it's like they say, 1 year in crypto is 10 years, right? So I don't know, I'm if I'm a, you know 50 years or 100 years, whatever it is, I do have some experience, and that has led me to this spot with you, where I was like, Luke, I really should do something. Like, I should do a course. I should, at the bare minimum, I just need to get better with video. And that's why I bought your first course there. And that was awesome. That was the one, I guess, Croatia, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, and then out of that, you just took me through some really basic things. And I remember, because I was waffling, doing the, if I'd sign up or not, and you said to me, you're like, look, man, if this isn't going to work for you and what you want, I'll just refund your money. And I was like, okay, like, I can't, like, how do I beat that deal, right? Like, I'm just gonna, um and I remembered that, and so I took it. And I'm ashamed to say I didn't even finish it all, Luke. I didn't actually get all the way to the end. But what was great about your course is that it already had so much information in it. It got me to the basics really quickly. Like, got me into looking at a camera, right? Talk about lighting, about some of the just the small things, but they all start adding up, right? And for those of you that are watching the video, you probably get what I'm saying if you're following any of this. Some of you feel awkward with a camera and whatever. But you got me through that really quickly, and I haven't gone into this advanced stuff that you guys are doing because I'm like, well, I'd rather hire somebody to do that. But I can actually shoot a reel now. I think you call it a reel and a B reel and whatever, and I can get the stuff, and most importantly, is the creativity that I want to express as a creator and the things that I want to do now, I can do them much better and I can get it out to the audience that I want to get it out to.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, man. I think what's interesting with your situation is that, whenever I talk to you, whenever we have our catch ups and stuff, it's like you've got so many different things going on. Like you're busy, you've got you're doing this operation, you're doing your trading, your trader punks, you're going to conferences, you're helping with your wife's business as well. You've got your
Yes.
investment. So you've got a lot of different things going on. And I think what a lot of people struggle with today is getting over that initial hump of actually creating a course or shooting the videos or doing marketing and running that whole thing. So from your perspective, like how did you manage that extra workload of, creating the videos for your course, and getting that whole cohort set up and built, and then we can talk about how you actually went about selling it after that.
Sure. So one of the things that has become let me just give you a quick story on it. It'll make a little more sense. So when I was trading, I hit a spot where, I'm just going, going, going. And, crypto market's amazing because it can just fluctuate and adjust so quick. And if you're able to trade those moves, you can do really well. And, but I found myself almost starting to get burnt out because I was so dialed in all the time. Right. And I have a close friend of mine, um, and he's like my wife's brother. And he's basically, says to me is like, "Is that how you want to live your life? Like, do you really want to be so like your phone goes off?" Yeah, like I was at his house having a beer, and I'm like, my phone goes off, and I'm like, "Oh, hang on a second, dude. It's where I want to be. I gotta get some Ethereum." And then I'm dialed in, and and he's kind of like, "Is that how you want to live your life?" And so and I'm like, well, it's good life. But right, there's this spot where he challenges me on that. And so his challenge to me was you need to get into more businesses that don't depend on you being involved in them and start thinking on that, right? And again, being a close friend, you take those words to heart a lot more. So that's become my wife and I's focus is to be in businesses and involved in things that are not requiring us to show up for a 9 to 5. So we're not trading time for money, right? We're leveraging other people's time. We're on the business or investor side of the cash flow quadrant, if you're familiar with that. And then out of that has opened up a lot of more free time. So when I'm not dialed in to needing to trade or focus, right? That opens up like, my entire day. So then out of that, we tend to do work in spurts, right? Where we'll do a lot of hard work on one thing, get that up and running, but then now it's kind of on cruise control more or less, right? Or it doesn't need as much maintenance, right? It's kind of like the hard part of the plane is getting off. Once it's flying, it's just, you can let it go on autopilot somewhat. So those are the kind of businesses that we like. That's what we try to build. And and then, you know, coming over to the course, the talk that you and I had, our last conversation in depth on this was probably 4 months ago or so. And the numbers you shared with me, Luke, to be blunt, I was like, yeah, yeah, okay, Luke. Like, sure, yeah, maybe you can do that because you've been, doing it for, whatever, forever long time, right? But I was not at all thinking that that was numbers or those were numbers that typically in business, you've got to be involved in for 3 or 4 years before you start making numbers like that, right? So I was quite surprised.
Awesome. Yeah, and maybe just for the viewers, like, can you give a bit of insight as to what we spoke about and some of those numbers that we sort of talked about as being possible?
Sure. So for those of you that are watching this and you don't know, so Luke has a course, right, where he'll take you through and he'll get you into the basics of the video and how to market your content. But he's got like kind of a lower level offering, right? Like let's just say, off the top of my head, your lower level I think is around $8,000, right? And then you've got another kind of a mid offering at that $8,000 to $10,000 range, and then you've got another offering that's around 25,000, right? And when you were talking with me, you were like, look, like it's kind of like you kind of need something along these lines, but this is kind of where you should be if you're going to, really get dialed in. And then we talked a few different things, and you were really busy, and I was really busy. And out of that was some collaboration. But the point of sharing those numbers was in that conversation you were like, look, Jeff, like you have a great niche, you've got a good audience, you've got people that you can talk to. It's pretty realistic for you to get going on this and do 20 or $30,000 in a month. And then you get really you're explaining how your $25,000 course, how you can really get that to this level, and like you get into this side of things and you really start doing that. Now you're talking a $50,000 to $100,000 a month business that, yes, it depends on you somewhat, but you're also producing content that doesn't depend on you, where people are just downloading digital content and taking access to that, right? So that was the conversation. And I mean, now you're talking like trader money, right? And I'm like, dude, like you're into this world now where you're like, wait a minute, like who does that? And you're just like, people do this all the time. Like I can introduce you to people, like those are people, right? So that was that conversation, and I left thinking, yeah, like maybe someone who's on this all the time, and you're go 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 go, and you're constantly on social media, and it's a full time job, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like maybe somebody like that, that's their thing, and they can pull those kind of numbers off. But I didn't think in my second month of doing this, I'd be pulling numbers, right, like you said. So yeah, and we can share those numbers if you want. I mean, it's doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think we should, but I just it's super interesting because when we first chatted, I mean, for me as well, like I went from more of a traditional production company background, and it was very much on the left-hand side of the quadrant you talked about. Because so for anyone
Right,
listening, Jeff shared with me the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant, and it's a really awesome diagram which shows you have a job, you own a job on the left hand side, and then you become a business owner on the top right, I believe, and then you become an
yep,
investor bottom right. And so it's this quadrant that you basically can move through. And I remember you sharing that with me, Jeff, and I was like, okay, this is an awesome way to see it for myself as well. I want to move more onto the right hand side. But I think when I moved into the information business, when it was, the idea of moving away from trading my time for money in video production world, doing 12-hour days on set, et cetera, to capturing my knowledge using video. So creating courses, information products that can essentially teach people and do the work while I'm not there, sitting in front of someone, which is incredibly valuable.
right.
And you, to your credit, you were like, Luke, when I was saying, Jeff, there's this opportunity for you to create that course, and you were talking about it, trying to encourage you to do it. You always had that almost as your north star. You were like, Luke, I don't want to do this if this is gonna make me way more work than what I'm currently doing. You always said that from the
I
beginning.
told you, I said, I don't want to buy a job.
No,
I remember that now that you mentioned that, because I was very much like, Luke, I don't want to buy a job.
yeah, yeah. And so I mean, it's important to actually note that, because sometimes what ends up happening, I mean, when I first went into the mentoring world, I ended up having, like, I was just doing one-on-one calls, so my whole week was just on Zoom, so I would get so much Zoom fatigue. So essentially I traded one job for another job,
Right,
and that was really difficult. And I think moving into a space where it was more like, all right, I'm going to leverage things like media, I'm going to leverage more a one to group coaching model where I can actually scale the business a bit better, and I can start pulling in those numbers that you spoke about. Now, same with you though, like I didn't really believe those numbers were possible until I saw people doing them, and then it almost changed what was happening in my mind, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually possible. And I mean, I definitely have Keegan from Uncom to thank for that. Like, he helped me change my money mindset massively, and so did Paul
yes.
Council. And I was able to see, okay, no, it's actually not so out of reach to be able to do those numbers. And then obviously sharing that with you, you went out and absolutely smashed it. And I think I mean, it would be great for you just to talk about some of the, so you did one cohort with your program, and then you did a second one. And so, if you could just firstly give a bit of an overview as to what that course and what that program is, what is the transformation you're helping people achieve, and
Sure.
what were the numbers you pulled in, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. So the the a couple points I want to make, because I think it's important to understand that I really followed what you told me in the course, and a lot of the free content that you share, and in your private groups and whatnot. So anybody listening definitely needs to join that, because you just give away so much, Luke. But um, and then Keegan was also a good part of it, because he was a bit of the catalyst, like the guy, like he was like, I was there and I was working on some stuff, and he's like, dude, you need to do this. We were in one of their mastermind through the weekend with Uncommon Success, and I've talked to that community many times about crypto. Um, and that's not a paid position. You're just coming in as a mentor, and you're trying to help people make better decisions in the crypto space and letting them see the opportunity. So a key point I wanted to make with that is, when I brought the course out, it was into a community that already trusted me, right? They already knew who I was. Um, so he reached out we were back and forth on it really quickly. And then we basically came up with an idea that would work for Uncom players and would work for everybody. And it gives me a chance to teach in that environment, and basically, break the ice, so to speak. And so out of that, we had 8 people, no, 10 people, I believe, sign up for that.
Yep.
Um, if I remember right, it was right around there. I mean, I can look at the numbers, and the course was going to be $1,000 US. But if you had your Uncom tokens, they are valued at $25. You could take an Uncom token, and you could use up to 50% of them, right? So people had to give me the Uncom tokens, and then they paid $500. And that was a hell of a deal for them, for what they got. But it was fantastic for me, because I was able to get in, and I had to create the content, right? Like, I knew the topics I wanted to do. I tend to get very inspired in the morning. So again, another good point, know your times of inspiration. So for me, morning time's great for me. I get inspired, I'm up early, I sit there, there's nobody bothering me, and so I came up with my course topics. But then I had to develop the course from that, right? So I was working with all of that. And remember, my wife and I like to create businesses that we can put a bunch of work in at the beginning, but then after that, they flow and go really easy. So that course went great. People were very happy, got lots of good recommendations, referrals. And again, Luke, from you, get some video testimonials, right? And so some of the guys, I appreciate them all giving me video testimonials, right? Thanks, Patrick, right? Thanks, Nick, and thanks, Michael, right? I'm thinking that's the three that I got. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. But I got video testimonials out of that. And then I followed that instruction that you said, the Apple 30-second Apple challenge. And again, that's in part of what people teach you. And I was like, that's always been such a good thing. And he's challenged us to do it. And it's been months I haven't done it, because I haven't had anything to do it on. But now I have something that I can do it on. And so I reached out to you, and you connected me with somebody that could produce some of the content the way I wanted. I got the content, I did my video, I did the things, I kind of knew what I wanted to have. So when I came to the video editor, it went pretty quick, and it was, for me, very inexpensive. That then led to, that all happened actually while I was traveling in Thailand for a month. But so then the next stage, so now I have done the course, right? This was January. I've done the course. I've covered all my expenses, made a little bit of money, um, and really helped the guys at Uncom, and they've got lots of good stuff. So now I was like, okay, I have a product now, right? Like, this is exactly what Luke's been talking about, right? I've got something now, and these guys love it, and they're going to be pretty blunt with you, some of those men, right? Like, it's Uncommon Success. So they were great, and so I got good feedback. I was able to tweak a few things, and then I reached out to a group again. Now, another tribe. This tribe is a tribe of women. Women to Wealth is their group, and I know the two founders very well. and I'd already done some crypto talks for them and helped them a little bit. And I said, "Hey, I have a course that I've been working on. Are you guys going to be? Would you be interested?" And they're like, "This would be amazing. Yes, we'd be super interested." So we worked out a deal, a referral type of affiliate concept idea, and then we went into it, and their big thing was like, look, we want to give our members the best possible price they can get, but our non-members are going to have to pay the regular price, right? So that's what we came up with. And so while I was traveling again with my lovely wife in Thailand, they're talking to their members about it and they're messaging about it, and we had some signups right away, and then it got a little quiet. And they were like, "Well, what would you think of doing a Facebook Live?" And I'm like, "Sure, I don't have a problem. I'll do a Facebook Live with you. We're on, holidays, right?" So that started, and that was a real key with that community, was to get me out there talking about it, even though I just had my phone. And I was, again, Luke, coming back to what you told me, just be authentic, hold your phone up, and just talk, right? And just go through it. And so, and I want to just pause there to make a third point, which is like, if you when you start out as a rookie, right, you really don't complicate it if you just follow what people tell you to do. And so, Luke, I'm always grateful for that, because I just follow what you told me to do. You said do this, I'm like, all right, do that. I don't know, like, I'm not in touch, I don't even have an Instagram account. Okay, like, I'm just like, okay, I have to do this, right? Like, I'm just gonna, this is what I need to do. I just need to be like that. I just need to be me. I need to share my stuff. Like Luke said, do it this way, I just need to do it that way, right? So that's what I was doing, and on any of this engagement. Now, I have some business savvy. I'm an entrepreneur. I've owned a couple businesses, right? I get the business side of it very well, but the video side of it, and the speaking on video and all that, was all very new to me. So now, go into, basically at this point, more people are getting interested and more people are signing up. And then, yeah, so here we are, had the first class last night. There's 20 people in the class, right? And it's just like, wow, what just happened?
Amazing, dude. Amazing. And so, yeah, I love that. I mean, there's so many points I just want to just double click on and go back to. I think the first thing, and this is very similar to what I've been experiencing, is that in the online world, well, there's one thing I say to my clients a lot is like, you don't need to be famous to have a very successful business.
Right,
And what I mean by that is like, look, you don't even use Instagram. But the cool thing that you're doing is that you know where your ideal client is hanging out. All right. They are hanging out in communities like Uncom. They're hanging out in communities like the Facebook group that you did a live with.
right,
And I think sometimes the best source of income and the best place for us to find our clients are in these communities. Because if you can get into these communities and you can start building trust within the communities and show them that you're a real person, you have good intentions, you're not there to steal their money, you do something like a live, you're active in the Uncom community, people know you, and you build your reputation within those communities. It's going to be so much easier to have that trust factor. And as an entrepreneur, trust is probably one of the most important things in making a sale, in selling anything online. And a mentor said to me once, it was like, trust compresses the transaction timeline. And
mm, I like
it's
that.
like that's like what I feel like you've tapped into so well, and it's a credit to what you've done. I think that's incredible. And I think
I'm
also.
writing that down. I'm writing that down. I'm listening, but I'm writing it down.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, I think with Uncom as well, for anyone listening who's in Uncom, and if you're not, highly recommend checking out Keegan Smith and the Uncom success community. But the beautiful thing about Uncom is that you have almost a safe space to launch and test your products within. And so you can launch to a community, you can get that initial feedback, you can get those initial testimonials, and then turn those testimonials into what you did, which was like almost the Apple ad style testimonial. And then that will just be like pouring fuel on fire, because I'm sure. I mean, how did you use that testimonial video you did? Because I mean, did how did you use that testimonial video you did? Because I'm probably gonna show it on the screen or something, because I absolutely loved how
Cool.
you Facebook group with the girls, with the ladies.
Yeah. So, yes. So that testimonial video, unfortunately, came, or maybe it fortunately came in much later in time than I expected. I mean, I was bouncing around at times, didn't have cell service, and then there was a time difference with the guy doing the work from India. Shout out to him, by the way, if he watches this. Thank you. And there was this, it took a bit of time to get it, and I kind of know what I want. Like I like he did a first version, it was just not right, and I gave him some content that didn't fit once it all fit together. So I had to redo my content. Which, if you listen to it, I'm actually outside a pickleball court. We were supposed to be playing, and I just had a shirt. I'm like, the lighting's great here. Let's do it. And you can hear the balls bouncing in the background. But I'm like, you know what? We got to get this done because I want to get something out to that group, right? And so, but then by that time there was a bit of momentum inside of the Facebook group, and so then they shared that video and they're like, hey, look, these he just did this with these guys, here's what they're saying, right? And then people, obviously when you see the video, right, you just see real people, right? They're talking, they're not fancy, it's like what your buddy would send you something, right? Like, hey man, check out the fishing here, come check, come join me, right?
Mm.
So so that was good, and then that got out there, and again, that gave us a bit more momentum. And then the way I designed that video, though, is just like you said with the testimonials. So I design it where I can add more in. So when I'm done the women only class, the 20 women, then I'm going to ask them for video testimonials, and whatever they have, as you'll see, can just easily get added in. So I'm not having to pay and do a bunch more work to create something, and I can compress it, keep it a little smaller, try to keep it on that. I think you said 3 minutes or something,
Yeah.
but try to keep it tight. But then I can easily add in a few more testimonials.
Yeah, awesome, man. I mean, I loved it, and it's really important for anyone listening to understand that testimonials really are worth their weight in gold. And testimonials are the thing that helps people connect with your product and actually feel better about buying from you and joining your programs. And I think the interesting, and I loved how you said you were playing pickleball and you just said the light's cool, let me film the video now, because that's what it's all about. It's all about creating those raw, authentic videos that are relatable to people. If that video you created was super polished and overproduced and this and that, I would be like, Jeff, what are you trying to hide from me here, brother? And
Right,
the the
right,
fact is you were just there living your life, you were being, your authentic self, um, and you shot that video and a selfie with not the best audio in the world, and you used that, and it was fantastic. And that's something that people will just be like, look, Jeff's a normal dude. He's got a big heart. He wants to help, and I can feel that. And then to add to that, the client testimonials you used were shot in a similar vein, and so it's just a
right,
very important message to anyone out here who's worried about that perfection and worried about over analyzing what your videos look like. All right, and that's the whole essence of that Apple ad. Was it used user generated content, it used authentic content. So I thought you executed that incredibly well, and I think it's obviously paid
and
off.
and and Luke, thanks for that, because that's actually um, something that I like when I asked the guys for the video testimonials. Like, some were like, "Hey, like, I'm not really that good. I don't really like that. I'll give you one." Right? Some other guys were like, "No, but I'll type you something." Right? But um, I used your line. I said, I don't need it. Just hit it and shoot it. Good enough. Like, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be. Don't get too concerned about it. Right? It takes the pressure off them. And even as you're talking to me about it, I just feel pressure off of me. Like, I don't have to be, you know, this, Instagram star or something. Right? Which I just want to be me. Right? I just want to be me. I want to help people. I want to help them have a better life. Right?
That's it.
Just that's it. Like,
Awesome.
we're sharing a beer together. That's how we're going to talk, right?
That's it. That
That kind of thing.
absolutely, absolutely. And the way I like to look at it is that video is a portal. And I'm on a portal right now. I'm talking to you across the world, and this is the conversation that we're having. I'm not trying to present or manipulate or any of this stuff. And I think that's maybe something a lot of people get wrong initially, and something I definitely got wrong, because when I used to speak on camera, I used to think I had to have this social media accent, is what I call it, where it's like, okay, and now we're gonna be talking about this, and it's like, hang on, cut that, cut the bullshit,
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's just a really important point there. And so, thanks for sharing that. What I wanted to ask you now, Jeff, is how, like, what was your, like, how did you sign up clients? What was, your sales funnel? Let's just put it that way. Because I think initially, I know it was a very simple. You had a flyer, you sent that in, and you signed people up manually. But the reason I want to ask this question is because sometimes people overcomplicate funnels and they think they have to have this super fancy system for signing up clients. But can you just talk to me a bit about the process you used to firstly show people what the offer was, and then how did people sign up and join your program?
So the initial one with Uncom, um, what I did there. So let me back up and just make a point though. All these people knew me because I already given a lot to that community, right? So the idea behind the course was like it's almost like it's just natural at that point. Like you need to, it's like the next level. Like you need to do something, right? Like people need this, and that it's almost not fair to them for you to give a little bit and then not be available to give a lot, right? And it's not fair for them to receive a lot from you without paying you for something or doing something for you in return, right? It's just not that law of exchange needs to take place, right? That's very important. And if people don't pay for something, they don't take it as serious either, right? I messaged somebody recently because I'm going to do a chat next week, and one of the comments someone says, "Well, I'd have to get up between 4 to 7 in the morning." And I'm like, and I said, "I'm like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like gonna do this for nothing. Like normally that'd be thousands of dollars, and you're not getting up at 6 a.m. to hear it. Okay, well then don't even express interest, right? It's there's that side of it too from somebody who can really bring value, right? Like all of those people, if they'd listened to me back when I was doing this, was like they could have bought Bitcoin at 29, 30,000, and they've seen it double in 4 months, right? Like there was constant conversation and harping on that. So you definitely have to understand the value you bring to those communities, right? And then give, you're giving them value. Now, when the time comes that it's the logical next step to make a business offering, what I did on the first one was simply go in and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this. Here's this flyer." I had somebody do the flyer up for me, make it look cool, and I'm like, "Here's the flyer. Um, and if you're interested, let me know." And so people were like, "Hey, messaging me, I'm interested. What's it about?" They saw the cost, and and then I just dealt with them directly on it. And some people were like, "Hey, I'm ready to go." Other people were like, "I need a little bit of time. Can I commit, but can I pay the money, in a little bit, or can I give you a bit now and I'll give you the rest there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'll totally work with you. Like, I want you in the course, and we'll work something out, right?" But the course was starting quick because crypto markets don't just sit around and do nothing. Like they were moving, right? I could see the momentum, the waves building. It's starting, right? I wanted to get those guys on as quick as I could. So it was just a one-on-one back and forth, nothing too complicated. And, that was the initial start. And, my goal was to get 10 people signed up, made sense for me. And for them, now you got a bit more of camaraderie with people that are there. And yeah, away we went. So that was a sales funnel, how that worked. The second one was completely different. So the Women to Wealth. At this point, again, Luke, like we're talking, they're trying to be on the I side of the quadrant, right? So we're trying to leverage other people's time and money if you're investing. So with them, I was like, listen, I will teach the course. I'll work something out with you from a referral fee standpoint, and I'll help how I can. But you know what? I'm taking off with my wife for a month on a holiday for her birthday. I'll be available if you need me, but you're going to need to be talking to the people, signing them up, doing that. And that was their deal, right? So the deal was essentially they would bring it to their community. The sales funnel would work with them. They would talk to people. People would message them. They would say, "Hey, here's who he is. Here's what the course is about." Blah 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 blah. And so they were filling that sales funnel with people, and then out of that was sign up links that they provided to them that went to our company, my wife's and I's company. And so they would just get the link, they'd click on it, they could put their credit card in, then it would, alert me and on our side. And Luke, I'm again still so new at it. I didn't have any automated email. I couldn't figure out this fucking square to like. I signed up for it. I did all a nice video, and then nothing. It doesn't work. I'm like, why won't it work? They should sign. They should order, and it should send them an email with this video. Still on. So I was so frightened. I'm like, forget this. I'm just going to manually type it when I get the alert. So as people signed up, my phone I'd wake up in the morning, there's signups, and I'd send an email and congratulations, welcome, right here, join the Discord. Here's the thing, and I've just done it like that. But it's you kind of learn as you go, and as long as you're trying to treat people well and give them the best possible customer service, like people are going to be happy.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's so so important. I think what's cool about that example you just that you don't necessarily have to have all of the pieces of the puzzle like perfect and this whole
Yeah,
intricate.
yeah,
Just like you have something of value to give to people and they want to buy from you, so make it easy for them to buy from you, right? And so if they're ready, send them a link, let them pay, and then if you have to manually send them a welcome email, that's absolutely fine.
yeah. And by the way, and the other thing is be flexible, because at the beginning I'm leaving, I'm going on holidays, and I'm like, hey, here's a link for 1,600 for your non-members. Here's a link for 1,100 for your members, right? So whoever you're sending it to, you're good to go. But the course isn't starting for like 6 weeks. So, right away somebody signs up, right? And then someone else, but then nothing happens. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. We had people really interested who had right away, but nothing's happening. And then I'm kind of back and forth. And so I reached out to him and I'm like, hey, like, it's kind of gotten really quiet. And I don't know where I was. I was on some island in Thailand at that point. And I'm like, you know, are we good, or like kind of what's happening? And they're like, well, we have a ton of inquiries. And they give me the numbers on the inquiries, which are really high. But the actual signups is super low. So I'm like, okay, something's wrong, right? Something's going on. And they had a suggestion that, well, maybe you could just take a partial payment right now and they could pay the rest by the end of the month. So I'm like, perfect. Why don't we just come up with 25% deposit, and then you can pay the rest of it, by the time the course starts, end of the month, so to speak. So that's what we did, and that was also a smart move, because it was a lot easier for people just to put $300 down, commit, and then they paid the rest, when just before the course was starting, right? So that was really helpful. And that flexibility made a big difference. But I also, borrowed from you, Luke, a little bit of what you did for me. And I said to people, listen, if you're not completely happy with the course, if you just email me, let me know what it is, I'll refund your money 100%. But I took it even further, Luke, because I'm in the digital space. I said you can even keep the NFT that gives you access to the course and all the recordings. So the fact that you have the NFT, you actually get to keep the course. It's not like
Wow.
it's just a username and password. You can sell the NFT, you can give it to somebody else. You can actually, it's like having a freaking like, electronic book or something, right? Like, not only will I refund your money 100%, I'm going to let you keep it. I'm that
Wow.
confident of what I'm going to teach you is going to be a game
Wow.
changer for your life. So I think that also really helped people to come on board. Those two things.
That's powerful, man. I love that. I think that guarantee is like it really is powerful, and I think the way you did it there, just it, and I'm gonna assume no one's asked for a refund first and foremost.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, and I'll be
Exactly.
surprised. I would be shocked, and if they do, it's really good, right? Like, I'm very happy if that happens, and the reason I'm so happy is because that'll give me invaluable information that you
Yes.
can't get any other way, right? So if that happens, I'm really happy,
Yep.
right? And that's because I get that, and they get to keep the course. So if they give it to somebody else, or they, maybe they just don't use it, period, whatever, that's fine. But the information you get from people who don't want your product after they've experienced it, that's invaluable.
Mm, mm,
Because
awesome.
because and for those of you that are maybe new to business, it's because it allows you to shift and change and just design something better, or you find there's a gap, there's a hole, or maybe what you're doing, you're being too broad, right? You need to be more niche, right? You're pulling people into your course that really shouldn't be there, right? So you're spending time and money and energy to market to people that shouldn't be a part of that, right? You want to be more niche with this group because they're going to really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that guarantee that you have, it's like it also just proves to people that you fully believe in what you're teaching, because the guarantee almost puts a bit of a fire under your ass, because it's like I better deliver on my promise.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Well,
that's
and I say to people in the NFT part of the course when we're talking about NFTs and purchasing them, I say to people like you should be looking for creators and experiences that give you 10x. So
yeah.
it's 10 times whatever you're paying for it, right? Or in experience. Like sometimes it can be an experience that you're getting from this, not a actual physical dollar amount, right? But whatever it is, you should be looking for a 10x. And I said I hold myself to that. That's what I expect for you guys to get out of this, right? And if I think if you come in with that attitude, um, it really helps drive home the value of what you're doing to people, right? They just get it. They just feel it.
That's awesome, man. And I think what happens as well when you do that, when you commit to delivering 10x the amount of value you're charging for, you get way better results and testimonials, because people go, "Oh my goodness, I was not expecting this. This is
Yeah.
so much more value than I actually thought I was going to get." And I think what it really comes down to when you are creating an offer or a course that is powerful, and you can increase the amount of signups you get from the previous one, really depends on how much of a great experience your clients in the previous cohort had, because they are the ones who go out and tell their friends, and when someone asks them, what was it like working with Jeff, what was it like working with Luke, they're spreading that good word. They're like, honestly, it was awesome and I really loved it, definitely go and do it. And I think that is almost the thing that I recommend people really focus on. It's like when you get those clients, how can you just deliver such a great experience that they go out and spread your name?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have like a you've got a responsibility now, right? Too.
Yeah.
Like you've got to, you really should deliver your best of you, right? To those clients, right? You definitely need to do that. So it also, it puts you to perform at your best,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not like you're not now coming in as a volunteer, teaching something in my case about crypto, right? Or you about video, right? Now you're actually having people that have paid you their blood, sweat, and tears, and they're showing up and they want to be part of that, right? It puts you in another league, right? For creation, for delivery, for teaching, for response. Like now it's real, right?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you, Jeff. So, what I've noticed, the way you do it is you're running your course as a one on. You've got videos, but you're also doing calls with it, right? You're doing a group
Yep.
call.
Live.
Yeah,
Live.
and your program's 8 weeks. Is that correct?
Yep. Eight modules.
Eight
So
modules.
8 modules could be done in 8 weeks, but I have been doing them in 4 weeks. So 2 modules a week, right? Keeps people kind of go, go, go. It's all experiential learning. So it's all hands on for them.
So I think there's actually something really important in that, and something that I've actually been experiencing this year since moving to a more cohort style course, where I'm running it across 8 weeks, the same as you. That's what I'm doing for the Brave Brand course at the moment. And it's 8 weeks. People get access to me on live coaching calls, but they also get videos and they get like workbooks and everything like that. What I've found running it that way is, generally I've found it a lot easier to sell that program, because there is a specific cutoff date and a deadline when the course actually
Mm.
starts. Because when I just had the course as like just join anytime, there's no real time sensitivity, or there's no real urgency to actually make that purchase. So I wonder, like, have you felt that with running your cohorts? Like, have you felt that there's actually more of a desire to actually join on a specific date, as opposed to if your course was just constantly open? Have you found any sort of difference or benefit to running it that way?
Wow, that's such a good insight. Um, I mean, definitely the first one because I was just like, I'm doing this next week. Who wants in? And
Mm.
it's going to be like this, and it's going to stop. at this time, and it's like if you want in now, but I was like, crypto markets heating up and changing. If anybody wants in, you need to get in now, right? And that's still how I feel today. But that was just a, the timing was really good for all those men, right? And so yeah, there was definitely a bit of urgency. Like, if you wanted, this is the time to do it. Um, and then on the women to wealth side of things, it would have been, yeah, similar. Like it would have been along that, like, hey, this is happening, right? This is a unique time we're in. Want to be involved. Of course, Bitcoin's cranking up through the roof, right? So everyone's now talking crypto. I get back home from holidays, my phone just explodes with calls and people want to talk and Zoom and can you chat with me and help me and all of that. So yeah, that there's probably something there, Luke. And just the live thing's different too, right? Like when you're teaching live and you're talking to people live, it's just a different experience, right? Like versus like, probably 98% of us need a boss,
Yeah.
right? Like it's hard, right? It's hard to kickstart yourself to just go do a course. Like that's why, I probably didn't finish my course with you all the way, right? But if I had been, needing to show up and be there with you, and I got to be there, and you got to get this, that, there's some accountability that kicks in, right? And so there's probably for a lot of people there's also, that accountability that stays with the group as they go through it,
Yeah.
and they just get better and better and better at it. Which, by the way, that just gave me a really good business idea. Let me write
What
that down.
What is the business idea? Are you
Um,
using your competitive advantage?
well, no, because I was just thinking with what I'm doing with crypto, I should have accountability partners. I should partner
Ah,
people up,
nice.
right? Because if I do that, right, like, or even what you're doing right now, you got somebody that you're like, I've given people homework to have done by Saturday, right? So now those people can be, like, hey, I want to link you two together, right? I want to link you two together, right? So that accountability partner could quite easily maybe add even further value inside the group, right?
Great,
And that would just kind of come naturally.
great idea. So my girlfriend Danielle, she actually she does that with her course. So she runs a 8-week program called the Yoga
Oh,
Boss.
cool.
So
Okay.
all of the women who join that get their own bestie, which she calls them, and so they team up and they are accountability partners. So I love that. I love that idea, Jeff. That's really cool.
Well,
Um,
I just thought of it. So, but that's the thing in business. You get ideas, and
yeah.
you need to get them on paper right away. Like, don't think, oh, you'll remember it, right? Like, our brains are high security. We forget everything after a few minutes.
Yes. All right, Jeff. Question for you. So you almost had this idea. You had this idea of creating this course, doing this thing. What was the process of bringing it into reality like for you? Because a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, but they never actually go on and execute on them. And I think one of the most important things that we can do in life and in business is when we have an idea, is to actually follow through and make it happen. And
Yeah.
I've personally found like that was a very difficult thing for me to do for a lot of years, like almost 10 years. I had all of these cool ideas, but like I would dabble in a little bit and then I'd back out. And then it's like I wouldn't really go through with it. And then it wasn't until I did my first course that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going through with this. And a lot of fear, anxiety, stress came up because I was like, whoa, this is me. I'm so out of my comfort zone right now. So, from your perspective, Jeff, you obviously put this together, you made it happen, and I know you have experience in execution because you are an entrepreneur. But what is your take on that whole thing in terms of executing ideas and bringing stuff into reality?
So, for everybody listening, ideas are a dime a dozen. Your ideas, yeah, cool. You got an idea, right on. You know what? So do I. Ideas are a dime a dozen. You're gonna see people though that get this thing. Oh no, I had that idea, and then so and so went and did it, right? Or I had that idea, and now it's out on. I remember, I got these things for our luggage now that you can track your luggage, right? You put it in there, and you can put them on your phone, or whatever. I was talking about that 15 years ago that somebody needed that, right? I'm like, everybody knows that we need something on our keys that'll beep when we click our phone, right, or find our luggage. So ideas are a dime a dozen. The key is the work, right? That and the implementation of it. That's the real stuff. Like like to be blunt, like my ideas or your ideas, they don't mean sweet fuck all. That's all it is, right? What means something is for you to get out there and actually start to execute and actually start to deal with it, right? Like I see this with people trading all the time. Oh, I have this great thing. I can do this. I can do that. It doesn't matter if you can't execute it real time, right? So you've got to take it and then go and do it, right? And that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's where a lot of people get stuck in this self-education concept, or they get stuck in the idea phase. So they feel like they're doing something because, oh, I got this idea. Like, look at my book, Luke. Like, I got so much I've written down, and like I'm doing something. Well, you kind of are, but you're not really. Well, no, but I took this course and now I'm in this course. I'm getting educated. Look, I'm doing something. You know what? You're really not, right? Are you making money? Are you doing business building activity? Are you doing something that will pay you this week, right? Like, what can you do today to make money? Right? That's a different conversation. And so when you start to think on those lines, now you're like, well, actually, I got to get my butt in gear and I got to go make a sale, right? Or I got to create something I can sell and somebody will buy it from me. So I've said a lot there to get to this point. Once you get to there, then you've got to grab your best idea that you can do well. It needs both things. You need a great idea and you need to do it really well. So find out what that is. And in my case, I'm like, I can teach people how to trade. And I've done this before, I've done it for years, but I'm not like to do it well. I need to commit a lot more time than I was willing to commit at this stage in my life. Like I need to be able to have access to that person for the next 90 days, right? I need to be weekly basis. Like it's, again, starting to create a job that I didn't want. But to get somebody from a who knows very little about crypto or nothing and get them to an intermediate user in 8 modules, oh man, I can do that, and I can do that really well, right? Like I can all the mistakes and errors I've made over the years. I can show them how to do it. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, okay, I can do that really well, and there's a demand for it, and I want to help people. I don't want them to see them get wrecked this bull cycle. I want to see them all make a lot of money and do very well, and I want to see businesses explode with it. So what do I need to do to make this happen? So then at that point, now my next thing is like my buddies my age who are messaging me and know nothing, and they're asking me all these questions on crypto. That was my avatar. I'm just like, it's that guy. It's
Nice.
that guy that I hang out with all the time that just doesn't know anything. And he's so frustrated because he's trying to buy some Bitcoin, and he's so frustrated. He's like, "Can't I just give you the money and you do it?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's sitting on my broker. Like even my friend, like I won't say his name because he's a very close friend, but he has like all this fun sitting on the broker, and he's like can't remember his passwords and his stuff, and so now those people are my avatar, right? I'm like, okay, so how do I help those people they don't need to be an expert at my level. I just need to get them to be an intermediate level, right? And so with those three things, realizing that you're going to have to get out and do some work, even though you have a great idea that can make you a lot of money, you've got to put the work in. And then getting into that second thing, deciding what it is going to be that you're going to enjoy and that you can do really well, right? And then figuring out who your avatar is, who's that person that is going to make sense, this will resonate with, and then fitting that for them, right? That's the steps that I would say to anybody that's watching this and listening to this, that you need to do. But then ease into it. Like, you don't have to go guns blazing, drop 40, 50 grand into marketing or whatever. Just ease into it. Just try with a small group of people, right? Get somebody to pay you $50 or whatever, or $1,000 or whatever the number is for you. Just ease into it, because by doing that, you're going to work out a lot of kinks, and you're going to figure out a few things that'll work. And then now you're going to find out if there's demand. Like, maybe nobody cares about your cartoon drawings that your grandma did when you were little, right? You might care, but maybe nobody else cares and they don't want to buy those things, right? So don't waste a lot of time. Find out if it's a great idea and then go do it.
One of the biggest things for me when I was going through that process of bringing an idea into reality was that I struggled with a lot of fear of
Hmm.
criticism. I was afraid of failure almost, and it was like it got to a stage where it was quite debilitating and quite crippling, because I was like, okay, well, there's going to come a time where I actually have to tell the world about this thing I've created, and what if everyone hates it? And so it was a very difficult thing for me to deal with initially, but I think through the process of doing it and going through that horrible discomfort, it's almost I went through that process and I realized, wow, I'm still alive, and actually this thing's going to work out, and I'm learning, and then I can adapt and I can change. And I think what it comes down to is, and this is why I'm working with the Brave brand and helping people build their Brave brand. It comes down to your bravery and courage around being able to deal with those fears and actually be able to put your idea out into the world and almost have it judged by people, and either it's gonna take off or no one's gonna want to buy it, but then you have the opportunity to adapt and evolve and create something new. That's what happened with me. My initial V1, no one was interested, and I had to go through that process of, okay, adapt, overcome. So Jeff, what I want to ask you just on that topic is, what does bravery mean to you? What does being brave mean to you?
Wow. I mean, Luke, it's an essential component every human being has, and we all need to exercise it. A friend of mine told me once, he's like, in business, if you feel like there's something that you should do, but you feel, like you feel in your gut you should kind of do it, but you're scared of doing it, he's like, you got to go do it. Right. And that's kind of stuck with me, right? Because that's kind of how it is for me many times, right? Like it's very easy to um, coast, right? It's very easy to float, especially later in life as you get more comfortable, right? You get in a different stage of life, right? It's easy to coast and float and not really challenge yourself much anymore. So it takes courage to step out and do that. And for me, courage is really, really important. But you need courage that's smart, right? Like you can be courageous and go do dumb shit, right? Like, you know, you can sit there trading the markets and you're losing money, losing money, losing money. And you're like, no, I'm so courageous. I'm just going to stay in here. I'm going to do this, right? I got this. I'm just going to put my head down and keep going. Well, if you keep doing something over and over again and you keep losing, it's not working, right? That's not being courageously smart, right? Being courageously smart is to recognize what you're doing is not working, right? And you're going, okay, it's not working. So I need to do something different, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to try something different. So that's the courage to step out of that and say, I've got to change, just like you said with your course, your V1, you called it. And you say, you know what, V1's not working. I need to do that. So courage, I really feel, is that exploration, right? Like our forefathers had when they traveled around the world, right? It's exploring, it's trying, it's being willing to say, you know what, that's not the right path. I'm going to go here. And so if you're stuck in a job you hate, why are you in that job? You're like, well, I got bills, I got to pay, I got this. Okay, great. Well, you know what? You got another 30, 40 hours in the week. Do some type of part-time hustle, find some business, do something online, get into marketing, get into sales, do something, even if you just spent another 1 hour a week. At the end of the month, that's 4 hours. If you do 2 hours a week, you got an 8-hour workday in there, right? Like you can do something that will make you money. And then as you figure out what that thing is, you can do 500 bucks. Well, if you can do $500, then you can make $5,000. If you can do $5,000, then you can probably make 20,000, right? And you just kind of go from those leveling up. So I said a lot in that, but to me, courage is an essential component, but we have to use it in a very smart way. And I think if you're not pushing yourself to be a little scared and you're not on the edge a little bit, are you really living life? Right? Like, are you? Like, if you're not feeling a little bit of, that adrenaline at times, or you're a little worried, why don't you push out and find out what it is? Just do one thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's where having those men around you or those women around you that will do that for you is so important. Like I am super grateful to you, Luke, right? And I'm super grateful to Keegan, right? And I'm super grateful to some other close friends who were pushing me in different ways, right? Like it's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you try it, right? Why don't you, just do something, right? And yeah, here I am. And it does, and with courage comes some humbleness, right? Because like I've had to go like, well, yeah, all these people know me as a trader and this, and now I'm teaching a course on crypto. Why am I like, right? But there's a bit of that, you want to be like, oh, I'm that guy, I'll do the trading thing. It's like, but no, I didn't want to do that, right? It would have felt like a job to me. Whereas this, what I'm doing, I'm fired up about it. I love it. I was so excited yesterday. I wake up at like 3 in the morning. I'm not teaching till 5 p.m. Right? Last night was awesome. Like we went 2 hours, not even the hour and a half we planned. Like it was great. I'm stoked for Saturday. Like I'm excited. I'm enjoying this so much. So that's a great feeling too.
Epic, Jeff. All right, brother. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. I thought it was a great chat and hopefully be helpful to a bunch of people. But just
And
finally,
Luke, well, while we're at it,
yep,
this is also a great feeling.
let's go.
Okay? Because there's also that part of it, right? There's that law of exchange. So when people are paying you to show up for something, they're going to get way more out of it too, right? And if you're a pro at what you're doing, they should be paying you, right? Or there needs to be some type of exchange. It doesn't have to be monetary. Like it can be, mentoring, or it could be, your trade. I'm going to give you this, and you're going to give me that. Like, I mean, there can all be that, but there should be some type of exchange that happens, right? Don't allow people who just want to suck your life out of you and aren't giving anything back, right? Just avoid those people, right? Like there's if you're in a group, like you're helping somebody out, and I expect one day they're going to help me out, and it's reciprocal, right? There's exchange that takes place that way. So when it comes to situations where people are paying you money, that's great because they're paying for your wisdom and your education, but they're also now really engaged. And so you've got great people that are on that other side wanting to listen to you and hear from you.
That's epic, man. I think, yeah, one thing I just wanted to say on that, because that whole thing you just said, and you answered the bravery question amazingly, by the way, is
Do
this
I get a
idea.
hat?
Yeah, I got
Do
to
I
get
get
you.
a hat for answering the question right?
I got
For
to get.
answering well?
I
Can
got
you
to.
sign it, please?
Yeah, mate. I'm gonna send you one, brother. I'll send you one. So it was this idea that the more you learn, the more you earn. And I think Keegan Smith shared that, and I was like, wow, that's so true because when you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, it's like you're facing new challenges that you've never faced before. And in order to overcome those challenges, you need to get the tools and you need to learn. Either you're going to learn the hard way by rummaging through it yourself, losing a lot of money investing in crypto, or doing the wrong things when you're creating videos, etc., etc., or you can pay to learn from a mentor. And
Right.
so and I think that is one of the most powerful things in life really is like, okay, whose knowledge can I access, who's done the hard yards, who can mentor me through this process, whose course can I do to help me level up and actually build the skill that I need to do to get to the level that I want to go to. And so it's the same with investment, it's the same with personal branding that I'm teaching. That's what we're trying to give to people. And then for me, I need mentors who are even further than me to get to where I want to go. And I know you've been a huge mentor to me in areas like my personal life, my relationship. You've given me so much, Jeff. And so I am so grateful for the friendship we've developed. And it all started from you joining my course. And I think that's what's so cool about online business right now is that your clients
Hmm.
become closest friends. And I'm so grateful to know you, man. And I'm buzzing for the work you're doing, and I'm so excited to see where this goes.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and it's great. And on that concept, I mean, this is probably a good wrap up. Um, you're basically like I have a daughter your age. I had kids young, right? I have a daughter your age, right? Like where a lot of people, I think too, they tend to want to seek advice and information from people kind of around their same age, right? Like especially as you get older, right? You're in my like you're kind of with your buddies, your group, right? It's invaluable wisdom to also reach down to people younger than you, and those younger people to reach up, right? Like it's really a different generation. Like I've learned so much from you, Luke, right? And it's so cool to be able to share some of my ideas and concepts and life wisdom with also with you, right? Like it's really good. And so I would encourage everybody to build relationships that are also outside of your generation, right? Like I think that's very very helpful. And I love because you're in space and techie and doing stuff I'm not doing, and vice versa, right? So yeah, it's all really good.
Awesome, Jeff. Let's do this again another time. I'm sure we will chat
Well,
again. But
yeah, I'm game. Yeah, we should follow up on this in a bit. Um, yeah, it's been a good. It's been good. I'm curious what you're going to do. And is this AI? Is this what you're using? Is this an AI video
uh,
thing or something? It looks
yeah,
pretty snazzy.
this is the first time I'm doing it, so it's called Squadcast by Descript, and so basically it records like a high quality version of your video, and then it records high quality for me, so I can put it together. And I'm gonna post this on YouTube. I'll probably have this up today, to be honest. So I'm gonna work on this and
Cool.
share that. What I'm gonna do, Jeff, is I'll put your details in the show notes. So if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to join your course, which I highly recommend, they can do that. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, brother, we'll chat again soon. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds good, Luke. And then yeah, stay in touch and don't forget me for a hat. It's about an XL. I got a big head. Want the brave courage. So, all
Yes.
right, bro. Thanks everybody who watch.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's go Bitcoin.